What would you do to save the person you love most in this world? How far would you go? How many lines would you cross? How many lives would you be willing to destroy? Most of us would like to think we'd never go too far, that there's a line we'd never cross. But today's film is about a man who erased every single line, one by one, all in the name of love. And the terrifying part? You'll almost understand why. This is a story about con artists' obsession and a neurosurgeon who decided that the rules of medicine and humanity simply didn't apply to him anymore. Buckle up, because this one gets dark. Let's get into it. The film opens with a slick, confident real estate agent showing a house to a man. She's charming, flirtatious, and absolutely magnetic. After the tour, she tells him the price is fair and there's already a long line of interested buyers. He has until end of day to decide. The man, completely disarmed by her looks, doesn't even hesitate. He transfers the money on the spot. Then he asks her out. She tells him to pick her up at 8. That night, he shows up at the address. An old man answers the door. Never heard of any girl. He tries her number, disconnected. He's been scammed. Completely. The woman is Paloma, and this is what she does for a living. She works with her partner Smith, and together they run a sophisticated real estate con. They rent out luxury apartments and high-end penthouses they don't own, collecting money from desperate and naive clients before vanishing without a trace. Smith is deeply in love with Paloma. He tells her constantly, but Paloma never says it back. Her response is always the same. A flat, emotionless same. Tells you everything you need to know about her. One day, Paloma receives a message from someone named Daisy, but the IP address traces back to a police station. Smith immediately says they need to move, but Paloma wants to keep going. Smith brings up Baltimore, where blurry footage of them leaked and made the news. Paloma brushes it off. Nobody got arrested. She proposes a bet. They each pick their next target. Whoever closes the deal first decides where they go next. Smith picks a remote penthouse with multiple complaints. Manageable. Paloma picks something far more ambitious. A luxury apartment owned by Dr. Robert Kajian, one of the most respected neurosurgeons in the world, with patients flying in from every corner of the globe. Finding a rich buyer for it won't be easy, but Paloma never shies away from a challenge. We meet Robert just as he finishes a successful surgery. His friend and colleague Bradshaw congratulates him warmly. But Robert isn't satisfied. He believes they can push further, do more. Bradshaw urges him to stay within the rules, reminding him that FDA approval for his experimental neurotransplantation work on rats is coming. Robert doesn't want to wait. He leaves because he has a new tenant coming to view his apartment. Paloma shows up at the apartment playing the role of Molly Bloom, composed, charming, and disarming. She compliments a photo of Robert's wife, Rebecca. Robert tells her quietly that Rebecca is suffering from a degenerative brain disease. He doesn't say much more, but the grief behind his eyes says everything. They finalize the deal and shake hands. In the process, Paloma accidentally cuts her finger on Robert's wedding ring. He bandages it up carefully. He mentions how much he loves this neighborhood. Rebecca's parents used to live nearby. They've both passed away now. He hands Paloma the alarm codes and password and prepares to leave. Paloma says it's a hug and hugs him, a gesture that seems warm. But the moment he's gone, she's already calling Smith. She immediately sets to work disabling the cameras and reprogramming the alarm password to Rebecca's birthday. While she's doing this, Robert receives a notification on his phone. He sees Paloma has brought a man to the apartment, a client named Ted. Paloma works her usual magic on Ted, but some cameras are still active and Robert is watching. Ted isn't interested in the apartment. He wants something else. He gets aggressive, moves in close, and when Paloma's wig falls off, something in him snaps. He throws her to the ground and pulls out a knife. Robert is already heading back. Paloma fights back. She kicks Ted hard enough to split his head open. She tries to run. Ted grabs her, pins her down, and presses the knife against her throat. He cuts it. She starts bleeding. Ted loses too much blood and begins to fade. Robert arrives just in time. He injects Ted with a sedative. Paloma tries to flee, collapses, and Robert tells her firmly to stay still. Meanwhile, Detective Warwick and his partner Grace are investigating a string of real estate scams. They're hunting Paloma and Smith, two con artists operating under fake names pulled from literature. Grace is the sharper one. She notices the pattern first. The names are all literary characters. She tells Warwick to cross-reference recent rental listings using that filter. The search begins. The slow, but Grace is already closing in. Paloma wakes up in a hospital bed. Clean stitches on her wounds. She's in Robert's private medical facility. He comes in, sees she's awake, and tells her to stay still. She rips out one of her own stitches with her bare hands. Robert quickly rebandages it, explaining she's lost a dangerous amount of blood. Then he pulls out her ID card. He knows she's a scammer. He looks at her steadily and says she's wasted her intelligence. She should have used it to help people, not hurt them. Then he increases her anesthesia. She's out again. He stitches the wound closed and begins cleaning up the mess at the apartment, rolling up the blood-soaked carpet, erasing every trace. When Paloma wakes again, she finds a locked door. Using a clip and a blade, she picks it open. She steps into a corridor. A door is half open. Strange noises. A dog barking. Then the door slams shut. Someone grabs her from behind and drags her into the darkness. An officer shows up at Robert's door. Ted's wife has filed a missing person report, and the last cell ping was near the apartment. Robert calmly says he doesn't know a Ted, but there was an unfamiliar car blocking the fire hydrant last night. He had it towed. Here's the towing company's address. The officer leaves, misdirected perfectly. Paloma wakes up, and this time her neck is restrained. She fights against it but can't break free. Robert brings food and medication. She demands to know about the restraints. He says simply that closing doors isn't enough to contain her, so he made new arrangements. She screams at him to turn himself in. She tries to attack him. He walks out calmly, and a large, silent man enters to subdue her. His name is Lenny. Elsewhere, Smith is waiting at a bar for Paloma's call. She messages her. Whoever is holding the phone sends back a message saying she needs one more week. Smith replies, "Love you." The response comes back, "Love you too." Smith goes completely still, because Paloma has never said those words back. Not once, not ever. She knows immediately something is deeply wrong. Someone else has her phone. Paloma is in trouble. Smith scans the bar and spots a man who'd been checking her out earlier. She approaches him, tells him a lot of guys have been coming at her lately, so she's been guarded. But he seems different. She asks if he wants to get out of here. Back in the facility, Paloma demands to be taken to the bathroom. Lenny escorts her. She tries to get through to him, asks his name, asks what he's thinking, tries to find a crack in the wall. Nothing. He doesn't speak. On the way back, she attacks Robert. Lenny pins her immediately. Robert tells Lenny to release her. Then he explains Lenny was a nurse at his hospital. A drunk driver hit him and left him in a vegetative state. Robert saved him, brought him back. Paloma says coldly, "You've made him your slave." Robert replies that without him, Lenny would still be lying in a hospital bed going nowhere. Meanwhile, Grace's search finally pays off. She narrows the fake rental listings down to Penguin Classics character names. That's the connection. One house stands out, owned by a neurosurgeon. She wonders aloud why a brain surgeon would be renting out his apartment. Smith arrives at Robert's house with her date, a man she's recruited and armed. She tells him her friend Molly is inside and her partner is abusive. He pulls out a gun. Smith says he won't need it. She has backup on the way. He keeps it anyway. He bangs on the door. Robert answers. The man forces his way in, searching for Molly. Robert says there's no Molly here. The man starts destroying the apartment, finds a photo of Robert's wife and sneers. "Did you used to kill her too?" He throws the picture to the ground. Robert picks up a cassette tape and slashes the man's throat. He bleeds out and dies. Smith climbs into the backyard herself. Robert gets a motion alert. Smith finds a hidden door and remembers. Paloma said the password was Robert's wife's date of birth. She enters it. The door opens. Robert grabs a knife and moves toward her. Inside, Smith finds a dog barking furiously from a cage. Lenny hears it and raises a dart gun. And Paloma, who has managed to unscrew part of her restraints, arms herself and positions to strike. Robert creeps up behind Smith. Paloma hears him coming. She steps out and attacks. But in the darkness and chaos, she realizes with horror that she's attacked Smith, not Robert. Robert appears behind them both. Paloma, desperate, begs Robert to save Smith's life. She kneels down, tells her to stay still. He starts applying pressure to the wound. Paloma spots Smith's gun on the ground and reaches for it. Lenny fires a dart into her. She goes down. The scene shifts. Robert is alone in his room, watching an old presentation video of his wife. Rebecca, a brilliant neurosurgeon in her own right, is on screen, presenting what could have been a permanent solution for Alzheimer's and other degenerative brain diseases. Robert watches her, and in his grief, he imagines her speaking to him. She tells him he has a golden opportunity in front of him. He needs to act. The next morning, Paloma wakes up. Robert is preparing for surgery. She looks across the room. Smith is lying on a bed, head completely shaved. Robert explains his philosophy quietly. The brain is the organ that defines us. To work on it properly, he needs living tissue. Paloma calls him a monster. Robert cuts into Smith's skull and removes a precise piece of brain tissue. He transfers it into Ted. He stitches the incision closed with a laser. Then he tells Ted to lift his arm. Slowly, Ted begins to regain consciousness. Robert tells him to stand. He does. The detectives arrive at Robert's front door. Ted starts walking toward Paloma. He says a single word, Baltimore. Paloma freezes. Only Smith would know that. She breaks down. I'm so sorry. I love you so much. Ted, or what's left of him, replies, same. Then a seizure overtakes him. He grabs her hand, says something final, and collapses. Paloma kicks him away, screaming that he's not Smith. Robert takes Ted back. Paloma looks him dead in the eyes. You're a monster. The moment I get the chance, I'll kill you. Ted smashes his head against the wall and goes still. Robert steps outside to deal with the detectives. He brings them in casually, playing the role of a cooperative, concerned neighbor. But Grace is already suspicious. She notices a camera in the entryway. Inside, Lenny is quietly shaving Paloma's head for surgery. Grace asks about the apartment listing. Robert deflects smoothly, says he never listed it. Met a woman named Abe there. Definitely not Molly. He offers to email the door footage. Grace asks about Ted. Warwick thinks it's enough and pulls Grace out. Lenny escorts Paloma toward the operating room. She keeps talking to him softly, asking about his life before, his family, telling him they could run away together, that he has a good heart. Lenny listens, then quietly hands her the key to say goodbye to Smith, and shoots himself in the head. Paloma rushes to Smith's body, devastated. Robert grabs her from behind before she can act. Grace reviews the footage from Robert's house and spots something off. The timestamp shows rain that day, but the footage is dry. It's been doctored. She tells Warwick they need to keep digging. He's skeptical. She's relentless. Paloma is strapped to the operating table. Robert wheels in another body and positions it beside her. She asks who it is. Robert shows her. It's Rebecca. His wife is not dead. She's been on life support this entire time, kept alive by Robert's knowledge and resources, hidden from the world, kept in the apartment that once belonged to her parents, which Robert bought years ago for exactly this purpose. Rebecca's blood type matches Paloma's, and Paloma has no significant brain disease. Robert tells her he only needs a small piece. Some people live perfectly functional lives with half a brain. If everything goes right, she might still survive. Paloma looks at him and says quietly, I'm not stupid. I know I'm going to die. Then she prays out loud that whatever he puts into Rebecca gets destroyed the same way Ted's did. Bradshaw arrives. Robert takes him down to the basement and tells him to put on scrubs. Bradshaw steps into the operating room and stops cold. He sees everything, the bodies, the equipment, Paloma strapped to the table. Paloma begs him for help. Bradshaw turns to Robert and says, "You've crossed every line." Robert explains that Paloma is a criminal. No one will come looking for her. Sometimes one life has to be sacrificed to save countless others. Bradshaw cuts him off. "That's not our job, and you're not doing this to save millions. You're doing this to save one person, your wife." He refuses and walks out. In the car, Bradshaw calls 911. Robert gets in beside him and stops the call. He says they can work it out. Then he kills him. The detectives are still searching. A report comes in. A neighbor heard gunshots near Robert's address. Combined with the doctored footage, they have enough for a search warrant. Robert returns to the facility, and Paloma is gone. She launches a surprise attack, but she's too weak. He catches her, puts her back on the table, and begins the final operation. The detectives breach the house with a full police unit. They find the operating room in the basement, 2 dead bodies, surgical equipment, signs of recent surgery. But no Robert, no Paloma. The room is empty because Robert isn't there. He's in the other apartment, Rebecca's parents' place, the one no one knows about. He finishes the operation. He transfers the piece of Paloma's brain into Rebecca. And slowly, Rebecca wakes up. Time passes. She begins to recover. She starts to speak. She starts to remember. Robert helps her through every step with quiet, devoted care. One day, she asks about the donor. He says sadly that the donor didn't survive. She asks what she was like. Robert says softly that he never really got the chance to find out. They move far away, deep in the woods. A quiet life, a second chance. And then one morning, Rebecca comes up behind Robert and wraps her arms around him. "You know I'm your hug," she says. Robert goes completely still. Rebecca takes a blade across Robert's throat. He falls into the snow, bleeding out slowly, and in his final moments, both Rebecca and Paloma watch. And that, right there, is the ending that reframes everything you just watched. Robert thought he was the one pulling all the strings, the brilliant surgeon, the devoted husband, the man who outsmarted con artists, detectives, and death itself. But Paloma was always one step ahead, even from inside someone else's mind. She said she'd find a way to kill him, and she kept her promise. This film is a brutal meditation on obsession. Robert told himself everything he did was for love. But love doesn't restrain people. Love doesn't steal lives. What Robert had wasn't love. It was possession. And in the end, the very person he sacrificed everything to save became the instrument of his destruction. So tell me in the comments, did you feel any sympathy for Robert? Or was he a monster from the very first moment? I want to know where you stand. If you're new here, hit subscribe and the bell so you never miss a breakdown like this one. And if you want more psychological thrillers that'll keep you up at night, I'll see you in the next one.